That's how our slope is described. All right, let's take a look at this one. So now they're having us use that information. They're saying polygon HJKL has vertices at these points. What are the slopes of the sides? HJ, JK, KL, and LH. And how would we classify it? And their hint is to draw the polygon first. So the very first thing I'm going to do here is go ahead and graph those points. So I'm going to give myself an x-axis and a y-axis over here. And this is going to be kind of a rough graph because I'm doing it by hand. If you have graph paper, that's always the best option. If you don't, you can always draw your own graph like I'm doing here. Okay, and then I'm going to put marks. I'm going to try to evenly space them so that my graph comes out the best it can. Okay, so again, if you don't have graph paper, you can always go with this option. Again, the only problem is sometimes your figure comes out looking a little funny because you may not have drawn your graph paper exactly right on. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put those points on the graph. So my first point here was at -3, 4. My point H, -3, 4. -3 is my x, so that means to go 3 to the left from my center here, and +4 is up 4. So I go 1, 2, 3 to the left, and up 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the point H. My next point is supposed to be at 2, 6. That means to go +2 is 2 to the right, +6 is up 6. So I go from my center again, 1, 2 to the right, and up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oops, I put a whole bunch of points on there. I need to take those off. Okay, so now I have H, and this new point was J. Moving on, we want to do point K. Erase those extra dots I threw in there. Okay, let's do point K. 2, 1. So that means to go 2 to the right and up 1. Start at the center, go 1, 2 to the right and up 1, and we'll put our point there. That is point K. And finally point L is at -3, -1. So that means we're going to go 3 to the left and down 1. Okay, so there's my figure. I'm going to go ahead and draw lines to finish it out so I can see the shape of this polygon, which again is just something with many sides. And again, it looks a little weird. It looks a little off balance. Again, that's because I use my own graph paper. But if you have actual graph paper, this would come out much better. It looks almost like a parallelogram. That is going to be my guess of what it is. Okay, so it says to classify the figure. I'm classifying this. This looks like a parallelogram. I do have to verify that by finding the slopes of my sides. Okay, so let me go back here. I'm going to label each of these points. And what finding the slopes of the sides will do for me is, again, this is something that was studied in semester 1 of geometry, and they're hoping you'll remember it. If the slopes are the same, it makes the lines parallel. And if I can show that this line has the same slope as this line, that makes those two sides parallel. And if I can show the top has the same slope as the bottom, that makes those parallel, which classifies it as a parallelogram. A parallelogram has two pairs of parallel sides. So that is going to be my goal. I am going to find the slopes of all of these sides, and then we'll talk about it. So let's find the slope of HJ first. Now remember, our formula for slope, I'm going to put it down here. M stands for slope, oddly enough. is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So let's do that for h and j. Okay, so y2, the y from our second point, we're going to j, is 6, minus the y from our first point, our h, is 4. So on top we have 6 minus 4. Now we do the x's. 2 was the x from this point, minus the x from this point, negative 3. So 2 minus negative 3. We go ahead and simplify those. Right here, we have minus a negative, which again makes that plus. On top, we have 6 minus 4 is 2. On the bottom, 2 plus 3 is 5. Okay, let's move to the next one. The next one they wanted us to find was JK. Okay, so we're going from J to K, so find those points. Where are they? There's J and there's K. Okay, we're going to do the y2 minus y1, so we're subtracting our y's. That gives us 1 minus 6 on the top. Then we subtract our x's. Our x's are 2 and 2. That gives us 2 minus 2. I get 1 minus 6 over 0, which is negative 5 over 0. Okay, so what that does for us is it gives us a slope that is considered undefined. Okay, so in looking at this, what that means is that this should be a straight up vertical line. Again, my graph was off a little, but it does go, these both go through 2, so this goes straight up and down. Okay, let's carry on. Let's find the slope of KL. Okay, so from K to L, again, we're going to subtract y minus y. So here's our K and our L. So let's do negative 1 minus 1 all over x minus x. So negative 3 minus 2. On top, that gives me negative 2. On the bottom, that gives me negative 5, and negative divided by negative is a positive. So I can see that the top and bottom, they are parallel. They're a set of parallel lines. Okay, now let's go ahead and take a look at HL. Again, we're going to do y minus y. So our L, or they want us to do LH. Sorry about that. LH. We'll get the same answer either way, but okay, LH. So our y from our h part, the second one was 4, minus the y from our first one was negative 1, all over the x from our first one is negative 3, minus the x from our second is negative 3. Notice on both of these I have minus and negative, so those change to plus and plus. So on top, 4 plus 1 is 5, and on the bottom, negative 3 plus 3 is 0. Again, that's called undefined. If you try to divide that in your calculator, it's going to tell you have an error. So we can see that this is in fact a parallelogram. Because if we look at our slopes, the top and bottom had slopes of 2/5. Those are the same, which makes them parallel lines. The left and right side were both undefined slopes, which made them also parallel. Okay, so this is a parallelogram. And the slopes that we have are 2/5 undefined, just going to put UND, 2/5 and undefined.